Hello and welcome to the good, the bad and the what the fucks. Now it's day 6 of quarantine, lockdown, stay at home kind of thing. And I'm up at the top starting to clean down, get a dust down, you know what I mean? So this is me American VHS shelf. They fit nicely, as you see. The shelf is starting to buckle because, you know, you just build upwards, you don't think about the consequences of tumbling down. And as I'm moving around, got like cuffs and stuff. Fucking Universal Soldier is actually used to wedge the shelf up. I can't fucking. It's like, oh, it's like, you know, just moving along, misery, and I was like, oh, Universal Soldier. So there it is, there. Just creeping next to Man on the Moon randomly. So I need a replacement before I even try and pull that out. 7 years in Tibet. Got that on VHS and twice on DVD, so that is a sacrifice. Willing to make. See, I knew I had it. I knew! I just fucking knew. There we go, start this video. Okay, Universal Soldier. Roland Emmerich's really big movie, all set in Utah. Looks like they've just capitalised on a lot of locations around there, some big crashy trucks. But back in the day, man, it's like He-Man, Dragunov, Dolph Lundgren versus Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bloodsport and all that, you know what I mean? It's just like team-ups. You don't get enough team-ups now. Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Demolition Man, team-up. Who else? Sylvester Stallone, Kurt Russell, Tango and Cash, team-up. They're like, sort of feel between. But Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren have went on to work quite a few times together. Blackwater, Universal Soldier, Regeneration, Expendables, you know. And they've done some films together. Okay, so revisiting that, starts off at Vietnam, and it's important to point out that Michael Jar White is the guy who runs off and gets blown up, like into the desert. The desert, Vietnam. He is Seth, the bad guy, and I'm about to watch the second one back to back, or the fourth one, if you want to get technical. So anyway, Van Damme, with prolonged voice. I think Dolph Lundgren nails this fucking film, by the way, you know. Sylvester Stallone was very cautious and He-Man about giving them lines. You're not giving them lines, are you? And I think the Lundgren's come a long way since then. So you've got Van Damme and Lundgren. Scott, Dolph Lundgren goes a bit psycho, starts chopping everyone's ears off. Starts killing everyone, and him and Van Damme go down on blazing glory. And it's set 25 years later. And it all happens at Niagara Falls. They go in, take down the Mexican guy who's in loads of films at that point. He's the terrorist. You know who I mean. He's in Speed. He's probably in Die Hard. He's definitely in Lost World, Jurassic Park. He's definitely in Big Trouble in Little China. They take them out. Tiny Tommy Lister's in this as well. Bebo. From Friday Fame as well. So yeah, they basically, you know, go in. Everyone's just like, who are these guys? And Leo Ripley, who I love from Cuffs, who's almost unrecognisable in this, but he went on to be in a lot of Roland Emmerich's movies. And Ali, somebody, is the news report. I've not seen her in anything since. So story-wise, it's good. It's got a lot of cutting technology for the time. Van Damme doesn't seem to dial much of his performance in. This is probably Van Damme's the biggest film at the time. You know, Lundgren was a big name. Roland Emmerich's first big movie, so just before Star Trek and Independence Day later on in the 90s. Heavily marketed as a kid. Even the computer game, when Van Damme's about this big and Lundgren's about that fucking big and fighting along the screens, it's like, what the fuck? Heavily marketable. I think they get a lot of the design from the Corporal Marines in Aliens. Crazy action, crazy fights, really funny bits. Bit where he's eating the food, really funny. The bit where he's walking around naked. Van Damme just wants to show off his bum. Yeah, we'll go. Van Damme's editing comes into it later on with the slow motion kicks and all that, especially at the end. There's some dark bits, especially when the spike goes through the back of the head. There's some grim breakings of the neck. Even to London, where he walks up and kicks 3 people in the face, it's just, he's got his hands behind his back, he's just like, I've got some questions for you. So it becomes really funny when he goes full psychopath. They then have that big truck chase, not race, chase, and the truck goes over, and that's a real fucking truck going over that hill, which is impressive.
Now it'll be miniature and models, you know. I'll just show you the truck going over a cliff. And then you get that barn fight at the end at his home. And then Dolph Lundgren goes into a fucking combine harvester. Definitely dead. So, I really enjoyed it, especially when the fucking end and the end credits came up, because body count nailed. Just started pounding with body count. Would not expect body count to drop in as heavy as that. I was like, what the fuck? Body count? Mint? It's pretty cool. So, there was a sequel, and then there was a third one. Gary Busey starred in them. I do have the second one on big box VHS. It's holding up a shelf up there. Seen them when they came out, because years later, you go in the video shop and there was Universal Soldier 2. But then, yeah, it was Universal Soldier 3. And you're like, what the fuck? Eh? Again, at that time, how many sequels did Bloodsport have, and how many sequels did Kickboxer have? Van Damme franchises fucking were just huge. Do you know what I mean? Van Damme didn't come back for the Kickboxers till years later. Didn't bother come back for Bloodsport full time. But they were making them, you know, cashing in on the name when they couldn't get Van Damme. He was big money, especially in rental. So, years later, late 90s, we got Universal Soldier The Return. And I went to see the pictures this as well. And I was pretty hyped for it, you know. Again, one of Van Damme's last big movies at the pictures, if not the last big one. Counting Expendables and stuff. So yeah, first one, Universal Soldier. Good. Really enjoyed it. Hilarious that it was holding up the shelf and all that time I was trying to find it. So yeah, Universal Soldier The Return is next. Okay, Universal Soldier The Return. Don't to confuse anyone with 2 or 3. Just watched it. It's a very fast-paced movie. It doesn't pull any punches. Has this sort of prologue with his body standing there and cryogenic, and then boom, we got like a jet ski race in the swamp. Of course you do. Van Damme is at it again. So Van Damme has been in cryos for 25 years. He's aged a little bit. He's got a bit of grey hair going, and he is on the run. And the new Universal Soldiers are chasing him down. And him along with Maggie on the back of his jet ski. Try to get away, and they encounter Romeo, played by the huge Goldberg. So, this must have been filmed when Goldberg decided he could punch out a real limousine window and fractured most of his hand. And ended up being off shore for 8 months. Normally the pivotal point of the Monday Night Wars. And it's very interesting because the movie has just finished there, and the end credit music is a song called Crush or Crusher, which I used to have on WCW soundtrack music from back in the day, and that was branded as Goldberg's new theme. So at one point Goldberg was going to use that. That's the song what leads it out. The film also features Static X. It's a small world. So anyway, Van Damme is now human and has a daughter. The woman from the first movie is dead. And sums that up quite quickly. Van Damme was dead. Missing in action for 25 years. And he's got a daughter. So anyway, there's this super brain. And this super brain looks amazing. It's like this floating fucking cube. And it's just like, this is Seth. And Seth is voiced by Michael Jar White, who was in the original Universal Soldier. Now, Michael Jar White had went on to become Spawn, and also had been in stuff like Tyson, and is a fucking serious martial art expert. You just need to see Blood and Bone for when he runs up and kicks 4 people in the face in one jump. Like a scissor kick. It's like, what the rewind that? Well done, J.J. Perry. Now, as I super fast talk, the Cube. So the Cube finds out that the Universal Soldier is not going down, and he wants to, like, okay. So they borrow a bit from Terminator. The Skynet takes over, and Seth's plan is to get the Universal Soldiers out there, start causing mayhem, protect the brain, and he gets the brain inserted into the Michael Jar White body. Huge. Now, meanwhile, as Van Damme meets a new woman who's a reporter. Okay. The place goes into lockdown, and there's a few actors you recognise from certain places. There's a guy from The Faculty who just recently appeared in The X-Files. There's also another guy you've seen in quite a lot of movies. So these scientists all get wiped out, and the Universal Soldiers are like, right. Now the music hits hard, hits brutal. There's lots of funny little bits. There's a bit where Goldberg, they jump off the roof into the truck, and then minimum damage, and Goldberg jumps off and Van Damme pulls forward, and there's just this quick nip of him going, oh shit, poof, you know, so it's got a lot more comedy in. Goldberg just looks like he's had a lot of fun with this. He has had a long career. He was in Half Past Dead 2. He's in a weird Santa Claus film, pops up on Looney Tunes. So he's done well for himself. You know, he's not stupid. He's proven himself. He's very smart. He goes where the money is. He knows what he's done. And the cube attacks. So it all seems to take place around a complex out on the road a bit, but it seems very confined. Van Damme looks great in it. He knows what it is. Does his flips and does his kicks. Pulls out a few new moves like a flying back kick at the last minute. The movie ends with Van Damme, again borrowing from Demolition Man. He just like kicks Seth to bits in the frozenness, but it like shows you over and over and over again with Van Damme and his kicks. Goldberg though gets to utilise the spear. So, okay, but even that's got multiple angles, and it just the setup's a bit weird and stuff like that. And like all the orderlies walk in are just like fucking huge. Like, what the fuck? Van Damme saves his daughter, crashes Skynet, puts Seth away, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But for what it was a good film. It's funny, it's packful. I really enjoyed it. The pictures, you know what I mean. But it didn't do very well. And it'll be years later before we got Universal Soldier Regeneration, which I don't think I'm going to watch tonight. I don't know what I'm going to watch tonight, but I did enjoy that. It's a product of the time, you know. But yeah, Universal Soldier, every dead. The security guard from the bus is Hank from the diner from Universal Soldier. Just spotted him, and then the guy behind him is the guy who's always in Schwarzenegger movies, so yeah, the next one is Nowhere to Run. And the guy who tries to steal his car is the guy from Lost World. It's the guy. It's the terrorist from Universal Soldier. Oh, hey buddy, that's him. He's just got punched. He's in Universal Soldier too. Okay, spot the cast. Pick a card. Pick a card. Pick a card. It's Buffalo Bill. So Buffalo Bill, actor who's in like Wild Wild West and stuff like that. This appears as the henchman to the guy who's got a very dark, creepy voice. I think he's in I want to say he's the bad guy from Bill and Ted Bogus Journey. I want to say he's in one of the Beverly Hills Cops, but I don't want to shoot myself in the foot. But yeah, I just watched that, so that's 3 Van Damme films banging a row as I'm trying to edit Welcome to the Land of the Long White Cloud in the background. So basically, this film came along, and the era let Steven Seagal pretty hit big. Under Siege, just handy right now. Under Siege hit big, and this is that era, you know. You had Schwarzenegger and Stallone in the 80s, but then you had Van Damme and Seagal going in the early 90s. These guys were fucking hungry, and they were back in it. And this film, Nowhere to Run, is well made. It takes Van Damme wanting to go in a bit of a serious role, and it's a very grounded film. The story's about a widow trying to raise 2 kids. One of them is Rory Culkin, the other Culkin from the Home Alone series, and his little sister. Starts off, and as you've probably seen at the start, the Hank and the terrorists from Universal Soldier make appearances. And Van Damme escapes prison. Big spectacular stunt, you know what I mean? Big 90s movie, no CGI in this. Big stunt. Van Damme pretty much starts camping out, finds a family, and you know he's got a heart of gold basically, and he sees that this woman's in trouble as the main guy is trying to like invest and take over this land to build his like estate. And it's hard hitting action, it's very grounded. Van Damme steals some salt and stuff like that. It's got a few kicks, but not fucking super flying kicks and stuff like that. Grounded action, stunts really well done. It's very much drama. I mean, Van Damme, I remember seeing the poster of this back in the day. Again, this is the one which a lot of people get confused with a Hard Target, because it's got that went for a very orange theme. I mean, look at that, Nowhere to Run, and you know, branded Van Damme on the front cover looking serious and angry. He was backable as fuck back then, and this was a big movie. But I think what the problem was, people were expecting more kicks and flips. As I say, it's got a lot of serious actors. It drives home the seriousness of it. but it's mainly all set around the guy from Quebec fixing a motorbike, you know, falls in love with the girl, and it's a good movie. It just missed its beat to me personally. But no, I've enjoyed it. Just sitting on the background there. It's a night of Van Damme. There's 3 fucking Van Damme films in a row. But, you know, Buffalo Bill, you know, it had the extras. The boyfriend, the wannabe boyfriend, is totally like a knockoff Michael Bay. He looks like Michael Bay. But no, it's very serious. Strong in its tone. Not much comedy in it. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely one of Van Damme's films that it's up there, but it'll always be down there when you go, what's your top 10 Van Damme films? It might not get in some people's top 10. But yeah, Nowhere to Run. Another one done. Okay, the 4th entry in the Van Damme, The Good, the Bad and the Wtfs, Volume 2, is a weird one because the movie's called Welcome to the Jungle. Now, what do you think when I say that? Do you think Welcome to the Jungle, starring The Rock, he's The Rock in that one, and Sean William Scott. It's called Rundown everywhere else in the world. In the UK, it's called Welcome to the Jungle. Slap a stick on there. Fun fact, JJ Perry plays Sean William Scott's stunt double in that movie, who's appeared in a few of my videos. Right, okay, so we had that. Then there is another movie called Welcome to the Jungle, which is a found footage movie set around Fiji, and they end up meeting cannibals and stuff like that, and one of the president's sons been lost in the island. I didn't know what it was, and I kind of enjoyed it. It was quite well done for a found footage movie, so that's called Welcome to the Jungle. Then we've got Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Okay, you know what? And then we have Van Damme, Welcome to the Jungle. Now, this one stars Adam Brody as the main star, and Van Damme's really should be Jean-Claude Van Damme in this. You can see, doesn't look like Van Damme here. Got a machete on there. That's what he looks like. Right, so I'll hold this machete just. I got some camo shorts as well. So, I'd seen this not long back. Now, this just appeared. It was out on Blu-ray. Didn't pick it up on Blu-ray. This is a time when a movie like Swelter was coming out. Van Damme had a little bit of films like shooting out because he wasn't Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was Swelter, which is quite a good film. We'll get there eventually. And Jean-Claude Van Damme on it and stuff like that. So, by the way, when digging out Welcome to the Jungle Blu-ray, the 2 Universal Soldiers have been dug out from you. So they're going to be the next 2. Oh. Anyway, so this is sort of like a weird comedy. The story is it's an office based now. The guy from 24, the big corporate guy, he's like, and there's a guy called Phil, and he's basically got his little sidekick. So they borrow a little bit from Employee of the Month here, and you've got the Adam Brody playing the little co-worker who wants to get up the corporate ladder, and his superior is a bit of a freaking douchebag. And then even he has a best friend. Adam Brody's character has a best friend who basically looks like Seth Green, and the character is kind of like Seth Green. Now basically he has this weird idea about a koala, and they fill the koala and wants to make toilet paper, and his idea gets stolen by a superior, and he sort of feels misdone by and stuff like that. So anyway, for morale and to get all the office workers together, Van Damme is brought in as this guy who's going to take them on a team building exercise. They fly to an island and they pretty much get deserted. Now Van Damme, early in the movie, encounters a tiger, and then you think he's dead. He goes flying off a cliff and everything. It's quite funny. It is off cue a bit, but it's very, very R-rated. You know, there's a lot of F-bombs, there's a lot of nudity in it. It is a raunchy, stupid comedy, but it just stretches out too much. The music cue's a little bit offbeat sometime. There are some extremely funny bits, especially with the eating animals. They all start tripping on LSD at some points and stuff like that. Brody as well is after a girl, and there's all about tribes, who should lead the tribes, in different scenarios about Cub Scouts and stuff like that. It's quite quirky and real. Van Damme would have been, you know, there for a week or 2 weeks during this, on location. again, you would take a paycheck for that. It does have some really funny bits. Van Damme, it does reappear, and you know, it really like works on his comedy in this, because a lot of the time he's getting pushed around in a wheelbarrow, and he's the compulsive liar, and there's some funny bits with Van Damme. And then at the end, when he saves the day and he comes in and just does a Van Damme kick, but for some reason he's raw, and it's just so prolonged, but everyone's like, what's he doing? So it has a lot of fun with that. Originally, I think Casper was watching this in the tea room at work, and I was like, well done, Casper, because I specifically remember, like, Van Damme's on the front cover, but he gets killed straight away. So thanks for spoiling the movie. But obviously Van Damme makes a return, so... I mean, again, I'll do the whole, is it good, is it bad, is it what the fuck, but... It's not it wants to be a laugh out loud comedy. I just, you know, it's a big cast. Everyone really gives a solid performance. It's just, I don't know, I think it just misfires slightly. So yeah, let's go to Universal Soldier Regeneration next. So the post has been, and I'm just checking the post, and there's a junk mail and there's a big envelope. I think, what the fuck is this random stuff? It's actually a picture of some tigers. Literally. Before, man, I was like, yeah, I've got a machete handy, I've got a koala handy, let's get, I don't have a tiger. I thought about, have I got a tiger in this room? I mean, there is a picture of the tiger on the back of the door, but yeah, just so fucking random. So yeah, Universal Soldiers next. Okay, Universal Soldier Regeneration. Now, when this came out, first off, make sure I'm a bit bleak of colour, because this film is very drained of the colour at the start. It just sort of, you know, came out. Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, who's definitely combine harvested in the original. And then this Pitbull character who is a legit badass motherfucker fighter, really. And I remember getting it. It was one of the very... I would say it was definitely in my first 5 ever Blu-rays. So I got it out, and this is only the second time I've ever seen it. First off, I enjoyed the score. It's very John Carpenter. Dun, and it's got a few elements of Flash Gordon in there as well. It's very bleak. Now, it's all been set in Eastern Europe. It's set in Chernobyl. So the events of the second one, about Luke Deveron having a kid, him being dead, but then fine, it's just gone. There's no any kind of new metal rock kind of music within this this franchise here. And I remember originally seeing it. I mean, when it starts, there's 2 trailers. One's for a film called Chore, which is amazing, and another one, then Whiteout. But the first 2 trailers are all subtitled, so it's, you know what I mean. It's the Eastern European factor in this is very heavy. There's a lot of subtitles and stuff and that. And basically, the story is, president's children get kidnapped. This Universal Soldier who's been stolen, this Pitbull guy, is like patrolling this perimeter, which has got a lot of throwbacks to looks like RoboCop and stuff like that, and basically going to set one of the nuclear reactors off in Chernobyl. And the first wave of Universal Soldiers fail. Luke, who's been in Switzerland getting therapy, nothing to do with the original movie, is called in as like one of the backup things. Meanwhile, the guy who is responsible for looking after the Universal Soldier looks at his contingency plan, and he's been cloning. That's where Andrew comes back into it, Dolph Lundgren. And Van Damme just sort of like becomes the last resort. Now when the movie starts, it's very font, like basic font, Universal Soldier Regeneration, Pitbull, with Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme as Luke. What do you call him? Why would you have Van Damme as and Jean-Claude Van Damme? It would have been a lot more simpler if they said both Van Damme and Lundgren in this were fucking clones. It doesn't really do that. They announced that he's one of the originals, and Van Damme coming up and Jean-Claude Van Damme as Luke Devereaux. That's his name. Like, why the fuck do you need that? Right, so with that little knocky out of the way, the film is fucking brutal. It is the most brutal entry into the series so far, and that's the kind of shit like Expendable should be. Yes, it's very drained of colour. It's been well filmed. The action sequence is really good. So take away the fact that the Dolph Lundgren's still alive and Van Damme's now forgotten everything what's happening there. It's fucking brutal. All the fighting in it's brutal. All the stunts are brutal. All the squid work is pretty good. All the little bit of advances with CGI, it's good. It's fucking violent though. There's like both Van Damme, Lundgren, and the Pitbull all ground and pound somebody and actually punch the fucking faces in. It's like the go-to fucking finishing move of a Universal Soldier. So many people get killed in these. Again, it's like Van Damme's been really into this. There's a scene where Van Damme is going through shooting people and all that, and it's one really well, long, good takes and stuff like that. And just some of the deaths. I've probably given this film a lot of shit in the past because it wasn't what we expected, but it's a well-made movie, and it did that well. That the next one was made quite quickly as well, Day of Reckoning, but it's just crazy. It's just crazy. You know, it's so like there's no Hollywood involved, so it's fucking bleak. But no, Day of Reckoning, which is going to have to be the next one, and Universal Soldier is at least out the way. And fair play to Van Damme. They probably tried to get this made for a couple of years. Wrote Lundgren back into it. This Pitbull, they would have had Van Damme and Lundgren for X amount of time, and the bulk of it's done being with the Pitbull and the stunt team, really. But fuck me, some of it is absolutely brutal as fuck. Yeah, next one. How the fuck do I start with this? Okay, Day of Reckoning. I have that on Steelbook as well. So Van Damme gets his name, top build. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Scott Adkins with Dolph Lundgren. Same director, same writer as the third one. The Pitbull's in this, but doesn't get his name anywhere on the back of the box. He's got a gun to the back of his head there. Fuck me, I don't know where to start with this movie. So, starts off in first person. Daddy, there's somebody in the house, and some really, like, don't get us wrong, there's a really good scene where Scott Adkins is looking in the mirror, looking towards the camera, and it's just a great set build. Do you know what I mean? It's not a real mirror. And then Van Damme takes his hat off. He's bald. Van Damme is proper bald, and Van Damme just fucking blows his wife's head off and his kid's head, and bang bang. So, what the fuck? First off, so Van Damme, there's a lot of stuff about clones in this one, right? He's a clone of him, he's a clone of that. So is this the same Luke Devereaux from the last film? Probably not. I mean, it has been the last Universal Soldier movie for a good couple of years. Looks like it's more set in America, this one. Could just be location scout, so it probably does have a lot of Eastern Europe ties. Now, Scott Adkins has worked with Van Damme quite a few times now. Assassination Games, Expendables 2, The Shepherd, a few. He's also worked with London a few times as well, stuff like Legendary and stuff like that. So bringing Scott into the series, it's good. Scott's a really nice guy. I've got to work with him before. He's a fucking freak of nature. It makes sense to bring Scott Adkins into this. The story though, it's just fucked. So Scott Adkins gets up, sees his family murdered, and starts getting the whole double impact mistaken identity shit going down. And he's getting, what the fuck's going on here? So, the Pitbull, who's a plumber, gets activated, so he gets up, walks out the house, turns up, stabs Van Damme in the neck. Pitbull goes to a prostitute house. Andrew is back, Dolph Lundgren's back, sporting more bleached blonde hair. He tries to have a fight with the Lundgren. After he kills a few people, it's pretty brutal. Like, the impact of this third one's still there. People are just getting the fucking faces blown off and fucking all kinds of stuff. It's fucking brutal when it wants to be. But again, unlike the third one where it's all Chernobyl and really trained to colour, this is strip joints, department stores, underground caves. So anyway, the pit bull comes in and the London stabs him in the neck and starts flashing like a motherfucker. Van Damme starts appearing, looking really ill in some bits. The pit bull then tracks down Scott Atkins, stabs him in the neck. Scott Atkins starts seeing Van Damme. There's even a bit where Van Damme comes through the mirror this time, looking really ill. So everyone gets a little bit confused. The scientists from the third one come back. The one who looks like Roman Reigns, he's shaved down. Don't know what the fuck's going on with anything. So anyway, the film really takes a bit of a turn about over halfway through, because you're just watching and going, what the fuck is going on here? Do you know what I mean? It's like there's meant to be a mystery there, what's going on? But there's a hell of a fight in a department store, especially with baseball bats and the pit bull and Scott Atkins, and it's fucking class. Brutal, barbaric, you know what I mean? I do have a baseball bat, not like proper. There's a bit where he chucks the baseball bat and he just catches it like that, and he's just like, and then he just tees off on the pit bull's head. Poof. So the pit bull comes back. He was the lead star in the last one, and just, you know, he's just a bit of a rogue in this. So anyway, after that, the pit bull's down. Atkins meets up with DeLundgren, who DeLundgren's got black banner across his head. Now DeLundgren gives quite a good speech prior to this to rally the troops. But then, yeah, Lundgren's just fucking got an Akka fucking fighting, and he has a quick fight with Scott Atkins in the armory. It involves a fucking another massive machete going through his fucking face up here and stabbing and all that. Lundgren's starting to look a little bit aged in this as well. I guess, especially against Atkins, who's really fast. But that fight's short-lived. It doesn't look like they've had Lundgren for that long on this, to be honest with you. Then, after Atkins surpasses Lundgren, we find Jean-Claude Van Damme sitting on the floor with half his head painted that way black and top of his head white, praying. So yeah, this is a what the fuck movie. So Van Damme gets up, has a fight with Atkins. Again, it's really well choreographed, hard hitting. But then Van Damme just goes a bit free and wants to die, and it's like, what the fuck's going on here? So anyway, halfway through the movie, you find out Scott Atkins has a twin. Did Van Damme not want to do the lead role? That's what you got to think here. You know what I mean? Was Van Damme the bad guy meant to be somebody else, and Van Damme was meant to be this guy? But it wouldn't make perfect sense if this was Luke, you know, waking up and seeing his family shot, because Luke had a fucking family in the second one. But no. Unlike the third one, at the end of the third one, where the actor is being like reproduced and you see loads of the actor, he's not in this one. And this one tries to lead a tail end open to somebody else about, you know, like the Universal Soldiers rising an army and stuff like that. And I fucking knows, man. It's not as good as the third one by far. The story is all over the place. The action is hard hitting. You do go, oh fuck. But unlike the third one where it was uber violent, this is just, it's just probably been fast tracked too quick. But it's a total what the fuck movie when it comes to Van Damme, man. Half painted white, half black. Fucking running around praying. Fucking strobe light. It should have a strobe light warning on this. It is proper flashing your fucking head off. There's a clip next to me, just going, ugh. Like, I couldn't fucking watch it. So yeah, let's go and find another Van Damme film, I guess. That is so fucking hard to watch, and I'm not even paying that much attention to it. Jesus. Well, I've got sunglasses on for, well, my True Romance displays just fell down because I've just had to pull out the VHS of that. Because I picked up the box set. I don't plan to watch 1, 2 and 3 of No Retreat, No Surrender, but it's got some bitchin' ass artwork on there. Okay, so No Retreat, No Surrender. Probably one of the earliest Van Dammes you're going to get, unless a copy of Karate Man appears. What was it? Street Boogie? Street Bug? Street Dance? Street Break Dance? Something like that. Whatever. This movie's full on cheese. Full on 80s cheese. You've got the soundtrack. It's got the Rocky vibe going. there's a movie with Corey Feldman and like No Surrender. You know what I mean? And this film had a bit of a following. Pure cheese. There's some really bad acting in it. But it's got the common trends of like kid moves to a different town, gets bullied, likes a girl, meets someone's heavily inspired by Michael Jackson. You can dance, but he can't act. Some cliches, some cheese, and Bruce Lee turns up. And Bruce Lee trains him. It's like, what the fuck? And it's really weird. And there's a fight at the pool table, when he gets kicked over a bench, and then you see the kick over the bench again moments later as he's reflecting as he's driving. But the martial arts in it is really good. The little dojo fight near the start, when the instructor hears that he's not a very fan of the karate, so he teaches him a lesson. Massive 80s montage training sequences. I mean, the lead actor doing 2-finger push-ups, and however he tied his feet up there and doing them mental, like, mid-air sit-ups are insane. But the film really climaxes at the end with the fight. Now Van Damme's in this. Gets the and Van Damme, very like nice eagle thing. Hardly speaks, and when he did speak, he almost sounds like it's not his voice. Very strong performance by Van Damme, because the end fight, you know, Van Damme literally mows down 3 of the bad guys, almost like 8 Mile does. You know what I mean? It's like he mows down these bad guys who have been, you know, it's the guy he fought at the pool. That's the guy he fought at the dojo. Then it's their sensei, and then, you know, their sensei is getting proper beaten up, and he jumps in the ring. So it's unfair on Van Damme, because Van Damme's just fought 3 people. Now he has to fight this kid. But the choreography and the fighting and the moves and stuff, it's really, really cool. I enjoyed that. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's the most iconic though, is Van Damme doing the splits in the corner with his arms crossed. It's like, he's a fucking force to reckon with, like, isn't he? But yeah, you can kind of see, you know, that his bread and butter was his fighting moves, and it took a few years to get his acting. He does take it seriously, but, you know, he's always going to be known as the guy with the flips and the kicks, isn't he? But yeah, that's the 4th Van Damme film today, and the 7th in 24 hours. This lockdown is driving people insane. Well, there's another one down. Oh man, I can't believe how many Van Damme films I've watched in the last 48 hours. No, 24 hours actually. Last night and then tonight. Fucking hell. This is the Hard Corpse. I've had this for absolutely ages and never seen it. It's holding up one of the shelves down there. I would have picked it up. Looks like it came from like cash converters, you know, when you get like 10 for £1. Yeah, Van Damme picked it up. Knew nothing about it. It's from the director of The Order, but also the guy who also directed Double Impact. I want to say Double Impact and AWOL. It might be Double Team. Let's see. Does it say on the back? No, just name check him. So it's a 15, filmed in Canada. It's more light on the Stephen here. Pretty bland movie, this one. It's kind of like Nowhere to Run, kind of. Van Damme's took on quite a serious role. There's little action in this. There's one maybe fight scene. Storyline is gangster producer gets let out of prison, who was originally meant to be DMX, who was going into prison, funny enough. And he comes out and he's got a hit on the former heavyweight champion of the world boxer. So the boxer needs some protection. Van Damme is ex-army. His friend hires him to be part of this protection bracket and falls in love with the girl. And shit hits the fan really. But it's very bland. It's very basic. It's, you know what I mean. I did laugh at the end there, because he's called Philip, and especially Jean-Claude Van Johnson. But that fucking hurt. But it's a very grounded movie. Again though, it's like a hybrid of the, you know, the Van Damme kind of action drama-ish into like a rise of, I mean, when was this? It was like 15 years ago, this movie. But no, it's like a kind of thug movie, but it just didn't really rock, really. I would say it was a bad movie. I always had the belief that Van Damme had a mullet. And that, I don't know, it's just always been on the shelf. But no, the blandest one of the night, really. I mean, it's batshit crazy to Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, but, you know, he basically, at first, the boxer doesn't want to be his friend. They have a little fight, then become like best friends, and espionage and double cross. Espionage, like double cross, but it's very bleak, it's very bland. Yeah. I'd almost like a sequel of Second in Command, because it keeps flashing back to like some of his wartime problems. And I was getting, it's Second in Command, is it? You know what I mean? It could essentially be a sequel to Second in Command because of that character kind of thing. But yeah, I need a haircut soon, Anna. Maybe it's a trim of the old beard, but no, I haven't got much to say about that. I say it's another one down, out the dust. Means there's only 2 more. I'm not watching another one tonight. No way. I might watch The Predator. That's technically a Van Damme film, sort of. But yeah, Hard Corps. Cops with a fucking weird title. It's called The Defender in Japan. He's the Defender, but Hard Corps. It's like, you know, whatever. New Van Damme film. But yeah, I was looking in the back before as well. There's one called The Bouncer. I bought specifically because Van Damme has his hood up and hood down. And then there's stuff like Kill Them All and Wake of the Dead and stuff I've pulled. But then you've got stuff in here still. I mean, Bloodsport. I'll probably have to watch Bloodsport on Sky. But the VHS is there. But stuff like The Shepherd and Assassination Games are all buried in this room somewhere. So only need 2 more though. And that'll be tomorrow. The next one is Wick of Death. Wake of Death. Wake up, Stephen. It's 9 o'clock at night. That's been doing my tits in for a while. Music Magpie. Funny story about this one, right? I picked it up in Poundland, and it's after I came back from New Zealand, so it's a newer one. But it was actually there, sitting on the shelf before I went to New Zealand. So yeah, Wake of Death. Van Damme looking a bit serious. There's only a trip over there. You see that? Get my lighting technician. I see him light. Yeah, Van Damme looking a bit evil over there. Okay, so it looks like this was just filmed. That proper failed, didn't it? Filmed just after Universal Soldier, to be honest with you, because his hair's grown back. Can't really see much date on it. It literally looks like a Bulgarian production, though. One of the best action movies of 2004. So okay, it's a while ago. Fuck me, it's 16 fucking years old. Wow. Anyway. So basically this starts off like a softcore porn. I was like, what am I watching? All the names coming up and nice gold and nicely volley. And sex. It's full on sex going on in the background. And there's a little bit just before that though, Van Damme just sitting on a couch. And dead flashy, and I was like, oh, here we go. So anyway, credits, loads of sexy. Next thing you know, fucking subtitles, I'm leaving you. And the guy just flicks up the knife and just turns back and just goes, slices his wife's throat. Like, well done, okay. Anyway, his daughter sees it happen, she runs off. And then that's it, set in Hong Kong. Then it happens all in America. She's smuggled on a boat. And she tries to get help when she gets to America, and Van Damme is a bouncer, club bouncer, doesn't want anything more to do with it. And you meet his wife, and it just so happens his wife is the social worker this girl from Hong Kong looks after. Now, she is at a restaurant, Van Damme's going to meet her, the Chinese guy walks in and slits her throat. Van Damme turns up, driving along the street, sees some people coming out with guns, instantly gets his gun out. Remember, he's just a bouncer. Starts shooting everyone. Walks in, wife's dead. Goes on a revenge trip. So this one is pretty violent. There's a really cool bit in a shopping mall where there's some real stunts with motorbikes going through the malls, like flying across big gaps and stuff. That's pretty cool. Some of the extras where their flips and kicks are really good. The bad guy really gives a strong performance. It just looks weird. It's got some weird bits where There's transitions for no reason. Like, there's a bit where a guy comes down the stairs along the corridor and it fades 3 times. And then it gets really fast. There's a bit where, at the start as well, after the intro, where it's all red, like the trip. And it's like a music montage. And it's like, what? Is this to shorten the film down and stuff? There's big car chase at the end, big explosions. Just it just didn't look very good. Comes up with just the end at the end of the movie as well. I'm going to put it in a bad category, but it's not a bad Van Damme if anyone's an action fan of Van Damme. There's just a few times where you think, oh, you could have done that a little bit better. I mean, it's definitely better than Second Command, that's for fucking sure. But yeah, Wick of Death. Random Van Damme film, but yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Universal Soldier, Street Fighter. He's called Ben Archer, ex-mob, Chinese chart. It's definitely better than Hard Cops. But yeah, it's kind of, as I say, it came along. It's like when you see the downfall of like Seagal and stuff and just slap the name on it and that's what you get. But yeah, that's the Wick of Death. You're one ugly motherfucker. And I am no better. No, not at all. Could you tell it was me? But did you know it was Jean-Claude Van Damme? Now that is a what the fuck. I'm going to wait till this video is finished filming before I try and put that back up there. That's the limited edition Predator box set. Massive head up there, just out the way. A massive fan of the Predator. Check out the channel there. The first ever podcast I did was with Jack. Me, Jack, watch 1, 2 and the 3rd one. Jack refuses to do the 4th one. So check them podcasts out, and there's also a massive tribute video of me in the woods with Jack and the movie pop guy Paul Ray. We spent a lot of time on getting the infrared effect right, even like CGI getting shot in the shoulder and stuff and falling into the bushes. I'll try and put that bit as an outtake. But yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme, the Predator, what the fuck? He was. The Predator went through a few different versions. It was more resembled a chicken, more or less the fortune teller from the Labyrinth. Little fucking bird head on the top, peeking around. So they needed a flexibility. And Van Damme was the most flexible guy in Hollywood at that point, wasn't he? So Van Damme was cast. It was an urban myth for years, until we get the likes of the Blu-ray or any kind of DVD special edition, when director John McTiernan will talk about it, or you'll see Van Damme actually in some of the behind the scenes footage, which was replaced by the giant guy Kevin Hall. Sounds about right. Kevin Peter Hall. Yep, massive guy. He was also Harry in the Hendersons. With the change in the design, Stan Winston came in, had a conversation with James Cameron on an aeroplane, wanted to give him dreads and stuff like that, and the new look for the Predator was born. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a big deal back then. You know, he was on the massive rise, and this film had to hit home. Soundtrack's amazing. I grew up with this as a kid, taped off the television, with adverts in, and then I seen it on VHS, and like, I don't remember that bit, I don't remember this bit, oh, that happened to him. Like Carl Weathers, I didn't know he got his arm blown off, and then the Predator runs up and fucking Jabberwock speeds him. Wasn't cut in the television show. Still have no idea what happened to Billy, you know, but anyway. The guy who gets blown out the window, knock knock, goes out the window. He's been in quite a few Van Damme films. Schwarzenegger nails it. Carl Weathers is great in supporting Stallone. Shane Black's in it. Loads of little extra features. Great special effects, soundtrack amazing, and that is the steelbook I watched there. It's the first time I've bought that. I've had so many different versions of Predator, and that fucking light of mine. But yeah, so yeah, that's an amazing film. That's good, but for this one, it's a what the fuck. Van Damme's in the Predator. Yes, he is. So that can go back to where it came from. No, I can't. I've got to put it down there for the artwork. So yeah, I just wanted to watch the Predator. I mean, how many Van Damme films in the last 48 hours? Oh, too fucking many. So, let's have a bit of a recap there. Let's pick the pile up. Oy! That's not the entire pile. So here we go. It's obviously Wick of Death, which I watched tonight. Again, Not an amazing movie. It's pretty on the borderline of bad. Very action. The stunts in the Supermall. I'm tired. Are really good. It's got Bulgaria written all over it. Some hard hitting stunts. Van Damme, ex-bouncer, goes for revenge once his wife's killed. Goes in the bad pile. Next up, Universal Soldier: The Return. Not a bad follow-up. It's what the Hollywood wanted, kind of wanted. Goldberg is funny in it, but it hasn't aged well. I need to put it in the bad pile because so we've got Universal Soldier was next, so that's a good film. It's really good. But when it was made, like Van Damme versus Dolph Lundgren, it's like, oh my god. Like, it's like Bloodsport, and then it's Ivan Drago, it's fucking He-Man, if you're my age, so that's good. I'm going to give that a better rating than, I'm going to put that in the good pile. At first I slated it, but when I've watched that back and how fucking violent it is, it's fucking class. Regeneration, I enjoyed it more. Then you got Day of Reckoning. Now that is what the fuck movie. Nothing more said about that. Next up, Nowhere to Run. Van Damme. It's well made for the time. It's not a bad movie. I think a lot of people thought they were going to get a hard target, or but this is massively marketed, especially if the Warner Brothers TriStar one in this. Next up, No Retreat, No Surrender. Even the VHS, man. It's like it's product of the time. It's like with Rocky 4, America versus Russia. Van Damme playing a Russian, so it is a what the fuck for there. Pure cheese. But Van Damme's fighting performance in it showcases of how good he was. And very evil, with less words. A lot can be said about an actor, just with luck. Next up, The Hard Corpse. I didn't enjoy that film, looking back. No Retreat, No Surrender 1, 2 and 3 in a box set, which still were there. And that, last but not least, is Welcome to the Jungle. I'm going to put that as a bad movie. It wants to be great, it wants to be funny. But it just seems to misfire a lot. A lot of the jokes fall flat. I mean, Van Damme's great in it, for the sense he knows what it is. He's almost the Anne character, but he gets his name just under Adam Brody, famous for the OC, and apparently Bryan Adams singing Wonderwall and that kind of stuff. My pit's hairy there, sorry. I'm due a shave. All around. But no, as I say, second Van Damme, Good, the Bad, the What the Fucks. I've got some still to pick from in the back. They're going to have to return to Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, or probably John Q. Probably Nicolas Cage, because I'm trying to get the pile down. I do probably have enough Van Damme films to do another 10, so thanks for watching this one. I'm a Van Damme fan, so don't hate me. Like Matt Davis, who spent a fucking fortune on making them last year. Like, Jesus. Calm down, Matthew. But yeah, I'm your Stephen Monkey Mason. Thanks for watching The Good, the Bad and the What the Fucks. Hope you check out some Van Damme films. Goodbye for now. I think I've lost it. Once is enough. It's like a fucking Van Damme movie when there's two Van Dammes. I don't want to watch any more Van Damme films. No. I don't want to see Van Damme again at Maximum Risk. I don't want to see him in Double Team. I don't want to see him in Expendables. I don't want to see John Claude. Damn. Again.
And now, the end is here.